10:44 and down the stretch we come. Final segment of the show, final segment of the week. And as always, a cheer goes up from the crowd. Get that bum out of here. We got better things to do. Our thanks to David Glenn of the David Glenn Show and ACCsports.com for joining us normally on Wednesdays, but Friday this week. And our high-text graphics people now are working on identifying our next guest, but I'll go ahead and tell you that it's Furman Hall of Famer and wide receivers coach Brian Bratton. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Just it's been a good month here with the new staff, and just looking forward to today. Got a lot of recruits on campus coming in tonight, so looking forward to that.
I was talking about your appearance coming up here and earlier in the program, and I mean you're always smiling anyway. You're always in a good mood, but there just seems to be an extra little bit of pep in your step right now. There's a lot of excitement in this building for a football team that finished how we finished last year and hasn't played a down yet under the new staff. There's a tremendous amount of excitement here.
Yeah, there is, and you got to attribute that to Coach Hendricks and the kind of culture that he's kind of setting and leading by example since he's gotten here.
Mm-hmm.
The expectations he has as far as winning now and the different ways that we're going to get there. The new guys are fun to be around. We've all kind of known of each other, if not known each other.
Mm-hmm.
And, just being in the same room and shouting out ideas and everybody kind of sometimes jokingly, but, kind of hashing some things out the way we want to do it has been really fun.
When Clay was announced at his press conference, he talked about obviously wanting to run the football, but talked about also being multiple. Then Drew Cronick was announced as the offensive coordinator, and you start looking at his offense and what he's done. And I think one of my questions to him was, I don't know if calling your offense multiple does it justice. Yeah. And even as you've been with these guys now, do you have a full grasp of what this offense is going to look like once you get on the field?
We've kind of went through some ideas, and I think the cool part about it is, I was joking around with Coach Cronick yesterday while we were with a recruit, and we were like, we don't have a name for it. It's not just this or that. And I said, Coach, I got a name for it. And he's like, what? And I said, the hybrid, because it's going to be a mix of a lot of different things. It's going to be some of Coach Cronick's ideas, some of Coach Hendricks' ideas, Coach Quarles, some
mm-hmm.
of my ideas. And, we're really open, and we're really kind of just exploring the different ways of doing a lot of things. And I think that's where a lot of the fun is coming from, of just saying, oh, well, I like that, and we can do it like this. And, let's do it. And everybody's just really open and trying to experiment and seeing how much fun can we possibly have. Because if we're having fun with it, your players are going to have fun with it.
Well, it sounds like on the offensive side of things that the staff has already developed a good chemistry for never having worked together as a unit. How is that mix now, adding Chad Staggs in as a defensive coordinator and as his staff, that side of the ball is coming together? How's the overall chemistry? Because as you know, you look at high-powered, high-tempo offenses, mm-hmm. defenses who are attached to those teams that run those kind of offenses usually have their tongues wagging a lot because they're on the field an awful lot. So how's that playing out? How's the relationship? How's the chemistry, at least so far?
Well, I think that everybody kind of understands what we're trying to get accomplished, talking from defensive and offensively. I think that it'll take some adjusting, just to make it so everybody's, thought about when the game time rolls around. And but I think that, you have to have a nice ebb and flow of a game, and you have to be cohesive, and we got to understand what's going on back and forth. And I think we're going to be fine. I think we genuinely enjoy working together right now, and I think that it'll stay that way. We understand what the vision is coming
mm-hmm.
down from the head coach, and, I think we all have those same kind of values of trying to get the job done and how to do it. So I don't think there's any issues. I think that, we're looking at, a group of guys that truly care about our players, like all Furman staffs have, and that are going to do something different that maybe nobody's seen before, and be successful at doing it.
How different will it be than, as SoCon John reminds us, you were part of one of the best offenses in Furman history back in 2004 with Ingle Martin running the show and you and Ike West outside. How as productive as that was, I mean, what Coach Hendricks and Coach Cronick and Coach Quarles and you and everybody else on the offensive side, what you have planned, it's not going to look anything like that, is it?
No, it probably won't look like that presentation-wise, but I think that you're trying to get the same results. Anytime you cut it, split it, hash it out when a run game, the basics are the basics, and, run game is run game, and you can present it in different ways, and you can have different looks that give defenses problems, and then, receiver-wise and throwing the ball, you want to have guys that win. That have that talent and that are coached well and that go out and make plays. So, it's not going to look like it, but hopefully the results look like it.
Yeah, it's very interesting how you can package things. You can spread and you can do this, you can do that, but it still comes down to fundamentals, and it starts at the line of scrimmage. You've got to be able to control the line of scrimmage.
Exactly.
And if you do that and take care of the football, you have an opportunity to be pretty good. And then everything else comes down to the chess match, right?
That's right. And, comes down to, when you say chess match, putting people in positions to be successful and do what they do well. And that could be, matchups or a certain set to get the defense the way you want it. And, that's our job as coaches to get them in that spot. This is
Furman Hall of Famer Brian Bratton, who's the wide receivers coach here going into year 3 for you now on staff here, right? And let's before we get there, John also asked me to ask you about your first TD catch at Heinz Field against Pittsburgh and that game up there, because I understand that you had a very intense meeting with a brick wall.
I did. If anybody's ever been to Heinz Field, there's the wall and the end zone aren't very far from each other, and Ingle put one out there, and I went to get it and couldn't slow down. But I actually do remember it, so I don't think I knocked myself completely out. But, back in those days, you got your bell rung, you got back up, and I think I sat out most of that second quarter, went in, got some treatment at halftime, and came out and played the second half. So, but I was a couple of days after I was really feeling it. So, but, that's a game that we talk about, how explosive that offense was out of a lot of different looks. We were very multiple that day, and kind of can mirror some of the stuff that we may be in going forward.
Yeah.
And Pittsburgh couldn't adjust, and the only way they adjusted was with our depth and the injuries that we had, especially defensively.
Ended up losing that game in overtime, if I remember correctly. Right. Well, so when we say you made your imprint at Heinz Field, you literally made your imprint at Heinz Field.
Let's put it this way: if that would have happened to Heinz Ward, that wall probably would have been removed.
That's right. Yeah, but Brian Bratton, they're going to leave it right where it is. Let's talk about the situation that you were in when the decision to make the change was made. Well, really, I guess at that time, all of the assistants found themselves kind of in that position. But as things began to matriculate, you and Dwayne Vaughn were kind of the two guys who were here and trying to keep things together, and you didn't know if you were going to have a job, and you're still out trying to recruit and salvage a class. I mean, talk about an uncertain time for you, uncertain time for your family. Just talk about that and describe that as best you could.
Well, obviously it's something that, you never want to be a part of. And, I truly believe that staff that was here, we did everything we could from a standpoint of trying to do the best we could to put a product out there. I don't think anybody came to work and didn't work hard. I think everybody cared about this place. Everybody cared about these players. And I think that, you could talk to any of the assistants and, that were on that last staff and said to a man, everybody, wanted to do well. Obviously, it didn't happen. Mike Buddy made that decision and to go in a different direction. And, immediately you think of, okay, what now? But, I've been around the business, maybe not been in it a lot, but I've been around the business enough to know you just keep working. And everything works out, and it works out in the way that, it probably should. So I just kept working. Number one, I felt like, this is my alma mater. And regardless of what happens with me, I feel like it gave me so much that I was going to work as hard as I could and see where all the chips fell.
Mm-hmm.
I cared enough about this place to leave it in a better position than when I got here. And to me, that's just working as hard as you can to do the best that you can, and then whatever happens, happens. It was a grind. We got on the road. We went to see every guy that we had committed. We went to see every guy that we thought that regardless of who the coach was that we would want.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was a lot of miles put on the road in recruiting, a lot of time spent away from the family. But I knew that, I had to do that to give myself the best chance to stay on board and give Furman the best chance to win.
Well, obviously that mindset paid off. And I've known you long enough to know that that's your mindset 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Right.
It's not something unusual. It's not like the change is made and it's, oh man, I better go to work.
Right.
You were already working. So I know that about you well enough. When or how long after Clay was named the head coach did you get the news that he wanted you on his staff? I mean, was it kind of instantaneous? Had you been talking about it with him before? Or what was that time frame like?
Well, Coach Hendricks and I have always been close.
Mm-hmm.
He's a guy that was here as a coach when I was here as a player.
Mm-hmm.
We've always kept in touch. There's been opportunities in the past that my name's been talked about at the Air Force Academy as far as joining their staff because of Coach Hendricks going to bat for me and being a strong advocate of what I can do both on the field and off the field and, relating to players and different things like that. So when his name came up and when he talked about, he may have that opportunity, you kind of know without saying that, there's going to be an opportunity for you to stay there with him. And then obviously when he got the job, he made it known right away that, hey, I want you to be a part of this thing and, I'm going to lean on you. And I told him, I said, I want to do everything I can to help you succeed and see Furman succeed. So
what I love about what you just said is that you knew him well enough to pretty much know that you were still going to be here, but you didn't take that for granted.
Right. In this business, you can't take anything for granted. You want to put your best foot forward. You want your work to speak for itself. I've got a lot of good friends in this business, a lot of good ones that say, hey, when I get this, I want you to do this, but it doesn't always happen that way.
Mm-hmm.
And circumstances can keep things from happening that way. So you want to make sure that your work speaks for itself regardless of who you know or who you don't know.
Visiting with Brian Bratton, as our graphics people so readily point out here, and coming down towards the end of the show. Just and I'll remind folks as we turn our attention to recruiting, obviously until names are signed on the dotted line, cannot talk and mention names specifically. I always like to do that just in case there's that person out there who doesn't understand. But having said that, I know that the last couple of weekends there have been recruits on campus. There are more coming in now. There's always a scramble, Brian, anytime there's a coaching change made because of the timing of the end of the season. It's very difficult to, at a lot of times, to put together a solid first recruiting class for a new staff. What is this class going to look like in your estimation if everything comes together? Because, again, I sense a lot of excitement about it.
I think the number one thing that we tried to do as a staff, once everybody got together and then we started talking recruiting, was fill some needs that were obviously needs on the other staff as well. So continue to fill those needs, and then after we filled some of those needs, build a class based on getting the best players that we possibly could. I think that we've done that. Obviously, there's still some undecided spots out there. We do have enough guys that are coming in that their spots will be filled. But, we're just trying to get the best players that fit Furman and fit what we want to do scheme-wise, whether it be offense or defense. I think that this class is going to look, once we're done, we've got very quality players. These aren't players that are just coming down to the end and don't have any other options, so we're bringing them in. We're competing and, going head-to-head with some schools in our conference, some other very good FCS schools, and then in some cases some FBS schools we're competing against. And, we have, pretty good shots at guys that have those FBS offers. So we've all done, I think, a pretty good job in our recruiting areas. And then we're, obviously we got some guys from other schools that are on staff now. Coach Hendricks is coming from another school. So we've broadened and kind of cast the net over a broader range than maybe we would have because of those guys talking to different people in different areas.
Last thing before we let you go, when I talked to Clay up here a couple of weeks ago, one of the things he said really struck me that I really liked, because the temptation, I think, when you're a new head coach and you're trying to do what you're doing after a change is made is, well, we've got X number of scholarships to fill. We've got to find people to fill those scholarships. But he told me, sitting right in that seat, that we're not going to take somebody just to fill a spot. If we have to hold a scholarship over to next year, that's what we're going to do, because if you take the wrong person, that can handicap you for 4 years. So I really like that he is not showing any sign of panic, and we're talking about a guy who's never been a head coach before.
Right.
I really like that.
Yeah, and he's said the same thing to us. Go find the best players. We're not going to take guys who don't fit us and what we do. We're not going to get enamored by something that might look pretty, but it doesn't fit. But we're going to get the best guys that fit, that can do well here academically, represent Furman the way we want Furman represented, and then at the same time, fit in our scheme and what we're trying to do on the football field. And if they don't fit, they don't fit. We're not just going to spend it and make a $250,000 investment in somebody if we're not sure that we're going to get that in return from an academic standpoint and athletic standpoint.
Yeah, it's an inexact science, but I know there's a lot of hard work that goes into it. And, man, we're looking forward to it on Wednesday, right?
Wednesday. Next Wednesday, yeah, that's the big day. And it'll be an exciting day. There's going to be some guys that are going to come on this campus, and they're going to help make Furman a better place. And then there's going to be some guys that Furman is going to help, change their life forever, talking about their future. Yeah. So it's going to be an exciting day. It's going to be a special group of guys. It'll be the first signing class of Coach Hendricks in his head coaching career, and I'm excited to be a part of it.
Well, as I said to you, and as I've said a number of times, there's just and an excitement and an enthusiasm in this building that goes beyond the normal level when there's a coaching change. There are an incredible amount of people here who are genuinely ready to get this ship headed back in the right direction, and the tools that they brought in to do it. Now, I think there are a lot of people there who are ready to get this thing rolling, and I'm glad that you're one of them.
Yeah, I am too.
Keep knocking around.
I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
All right, buddy. Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.
That's Brian Bratton, the Hall of Famer, and that's going to do it for the show. We will see you again on Monday. Remind you, Furman basketball tomorrow at Greensboro. 2 o'clock is the airtime, 1:30, or 2 o'clock to tip, 1:30 the airtime on the Furman IMG Sports Network. Tom Van Hoy and I will have the call. Until then, and then back here Monday morning, I'm Dan Scott saying God bless you. And so long, everybody.